My name is Alan James, and I'm the branch secretary of Shropshire UNISON, which is the largest public sector trades union within Shropshire. The branch I represent has a membership of 4,000 people, many of them working within the public sector. But we're increasingly finding ourselves working for arm's length companies, private organisations, multinational offshore companies, as more and more public sector jobs are sold off to profiteers and to chancers. Shropshire UNISON is proud to be associated with the birth of a People's Assembly movement within our town and within our county. Proud because UNISON has a long history stretching right back to its Nalgo and Newpie roots of valuing and contributing to good, decent and affordable public service that every citizen of our town and county can access, can use and can cherish. I wonder how much longer we can say that. How much longer will we have decent, affordable public service within Shropshire? Certainly not for much longer if the government are allowed to continue along their path of destruction. And definitely not forever if this most wretched of Conservative parties gets elected in 2015. That definitely will be the end of public service as we know it today. I'm also proud to be here representing UNISON because for nearly 3 years our branch, Shropshire Local Government Branch, has stood alone against at times what seemed overwhelming attacks on our workforce. Attacks to our wages, our terms and conditions and our working environments by a council that is at the very forefront of implementing Eric Pickle's systematic plan to dismantle local government in this country. There has been no opposition to swinging budget cuts within Shropshire. Cuts that have seen us lose our sick pay entitlements, our overtime payments, out-of-hours allowances, amongst many other things, as well as having to endure a 5.4% pay cut on top of a 2-year pay freeze. And last year, a below-inflation pay rise of just 1%, which in effect is another pay cut. The members I represent have lost over 20% of their salary from what they received in 2011. This is at a time when fuel, heat and lighting and food bills have all shot through the roof. Quite frankly, I find that a disgrace and totally and utterly unacceptable. This week, the government have announced that once again, public sector workers will be receiving a miserly 1% pay award, again below inflation, again another pay cut. And yet they can see fit to approve an 11% pay rise for MPs. And this very week, they have awarded a 36%, I'll say that again, 36% pay rise to government and ministerial special advisors in Whitehall. Well, I can advise government ministers for nothing, and the advice is this. We are not going to sit by and let you destroy us, our families and our communities without a major fight. And as with all fights of this nature, it means that we have to organise, we have to educate, and we have to agitate. That's what tonight hopefully will empower us to do. But not just trade unions, not just the usual suspects. This is a much bigger issue than that. This is about all sections of our town society, everyone who cares about democracy and accountability, and to the pursuit of having solid, reliable council services delivered by workers who care and who are valued and remunerated accordingly. We are not all in this together. That is a lie, and it's a cruel and it's a spiteful lie, because we all know that the most needy and vulnerable people in our societies are being marginalised and squeezed into abject poverty. In the year 2014, local government workers should not be seen as some work-shy, feckless army of public servants sitting around all day waiting for the time to draw upon our gold-plated pensions. Gold-plated pensions make me laugh. We should not be viewed by our government and our employers as some cheap resource that can be dismissed and rehired on a whim. We should be valued for what we are and what we deliver to the communities and people who need us. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is because we have endured all these attacks and injustices without a voice, other than UNISON raising the issue whenever we can, wherever we can. There's been no voice putting forward alternatives, no voice campaigning vociferously for the common good. We need something different in a true blue town and county like Shrewsbury, and that is why this meeting is so important. We have had nothing, not one single peep, diddly squat from Daniel Kuczynski, our Member of Parliament. How can a constituency MP say and do nothing when literally thousands of his constituents are being sacked and re-engaged on worse terms and conditions? When hundreds and hundreds of his constituents are being forced into redundancy? How can a member of any political party, a representative of the town and its people that he was elected to serve, say and do nothing at such dramatic and traumatic times? I'll tell you why. Because he is implicit within the decision-making. He wants it to happen, and he wants to be part of the decision-making that destroys the fabric of our town and the hearts of its people. He will, and he must be held accountable for his inaction and his silence, along with those other MPs within the county of Shropshire. And I truly hope that a People's Assembly will be part of that reckoning. There has been no voice for our members from opposition parties, just an unrelenting attack after attack against them. We public sector workers in Shropshire have been hit harder and for longer periods than any other comparable workforce in the country, and we are heartily fed up with it. We need a voice, we need a focus, and we need the support of like-minded people who share our views. And that is why I believe that the People's Assembly is so important and relevant to us all. Finally, there has been no voice from locally elected councillors, people we can hold directly responsible for the decision-making at Shire Hall, 300 yards up the road from here. That is because there is no democracy anymore within Shropshire Council. We have major decisions being made by individual councillors without input from elected cabinets. We have little or no scrutiny on decisions that affect thousands of people and millions of pounds within our town. We have had the utter disgrace of 2 full council meetings being cancelled in the last 4 months because there is nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Well, go and tell that to the disabled groups who were kicked out of the Grange Centre, or the day centres that were shut without proper consultation and debate. Go and tell the children and families of redundant workers that those elected to service can't be bothered to talk. It's an utter disgrace and an affront to decency and democracy, and those responsible should be made to explain their actions. As we stand here tonight, and hopefully the birth of something that will grow and prosper and become an alternative voice for the people of our town, we should consider what public service is and where it came from and what it does. Councils and local governments, as we understand it today, have their origins in Victorian Britain. 120 years of excellent and accountable service to the population. They were formed and organised when ordinary, decent, hard-working people became angry, fed up and disillusioned by being ripped off and used for the sole benefits of rich private individuals and ever-growing big business. It all sounds depressingly familiar, doesn't it? For Victorian Britain, read Condemn Britain 2014. And we're on the same path again. People are angry and fed up of being ripped off. And make no mistake, the population of this town are being ripped off by a council that could have taken other measures to protect and preserve vital services to our town, but they chose not to do so. Our reference library could still be open. Our care homes could still be doing what they're intended to do, care for the sick, the vulnerable and the needy. And 1,700 people, 1,700 families, would not be staring redundancy in the face with all the heartache, desperation and poverty that will bring to them and to the local economy. Public servants do all the jobs we take for granted. We clean the streets, we open the libraries, we collect the local taxes, we provide planning and highway services, we empty bins, etc., etc., etc. These are noble things, services that our fellow citizens want and they deserve, and yet apparently things that we can all be expected to do without, or they will be provided by volunteers. Yeah, right. Make no mistake, when we have lost our council services, we will have lost them forever. We cannot just turn around and say, we really didn't understand the significance of what was happening, because we do understand. And we owe it to those that use our services now, and for those that will use them in the future, to fight to protect them until all hope is lost. I don't believe that we're anywhere near that point yet. We do have fight, we do have commitment, and we do have conviction. We just need to use all those strengths and energies in the right way, and the People's Assembly will allow us to do that. Thank you for listening, and please get involved as much as you can, and Gloria ex Loci.